My name is Tracy Canales. I'm the Director of Transfer Admission here at St. Edward's University. A couple logistics just to go over before we get started. We do not have a chat feature in this webinar, but there is a Q&A button at the bottom of all of your screens. Feel free to enter any questions that you have during or after the webinar, and we'll get to those questions at the end. Our webinar will be about 20 minutes long, but we definitely want to allow an opportunity to help answer any questions that you have. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce Associate Dean Jena Heath, our Program Director of Storytelling and Digital Media, and Dr. Curt Yowell, our Visiting Assistant Professor in Journalism and Digital Media. I'll let them take it from here. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. We're really glad you are here to learn more about our new major and minor, digital storytelling and content creation. And we're going to walk you through some slides, and Dr. Yowell and I will talk a little bit about the program, and then we're happy to answer your questions. So this is our logo, designed by our colleague, Dr. Fawn, in Visual Studies. Digital storytelling and content creation is an interdisciplinary degree. It is housed in the Department of Visual Studies, but as you will see, it has courses from a number of different disciplines because that's the very nature of digital storytelling. We come at it from various perspectives. And so I think the fact that it's interdisciplinary gives you the exposure to all the different ways to tell stories in the digital space. I am one of your hosts. I'm Program Director of Digital Storytelling. I also oversee the Journalism and Digital Media program. We have a minor in Journalism and Digital Media, and we have a concentration in the Writing and Rhetoric major. And I come from the newsroom. I was 20 years in the newsroom, 5 different newspapers. And I arrived at St. Edward's in 2008. I learned all sorts of digital things in the newsroom. I was trained as a print reporter, but I had to make a big professional leap by learning new skills all the time and learning new ways to tell stories. So that's what's landed me here. Curt?
Yes, hi. Yeah, I love our new major. Part of the reason is a lot of my professional background is right in the wheelhouse of this digital media content creation major. So I'm really excited that we are launching it here at St. Edward's University. So I'm also our faculty advisor for our student newspaper, or I should say our student news outlet, because we have a presence online, of course, and are always creating new digital content. So yeah, happy to be here.
Okay, so the courses in digital storytelling content creation are taught by Dr. Yowell and myself, but also by our colleagues in the art department, photography and media arts, user experience design. UXDE is web design, essentially, video game development. We have a big major in video game development, and writing and rhetoric. So as I said, it is totally interdisciplinary. And you are probably wondering, what is digital storytelling and content creation? So the first thing to understand about the major is that digital storytelling is everywhere. It's in demand, as you probably know, if you're online on social media or just virtually anywhere. You see stories in the digital space told in different ways. You see interactive graphics. You see all sorts of things with photo and video. If you go on the New York Times site and read stories, you can see that the stories, often embedded in the stories, is a little audio that says, listen to this story. That's an interactive way of telling a digital story in the digital space. Professionals in this field conceive, plan, and produce projects in diverse digital media platforms. So we're coming at this pretty ecumenically. There are, most of us are using our phones all the time. So we're thinking a lot about how to tell stories well on the telephone. In the early days of digital, for instance, in newsrooms, before people understood that storytelling had to be different in the digital space, there was something called shovelware. And what that meant was that the way that editors and reporters thought about putting stories online was just basically cutting and pasting the print version of the story and sticking it online. Well, it didn't take long to realize that that didn't really work. It's a lot to read online. It wasn't broken up. It wasn't designed in any way. There wasn't hyperlinking. And so we've come a long way in understanding that how you present content and how you tell stories in the digital space is really very different. And you can imagine that the skills that you get and the understanding you get about digital narrative will serve you well in any number of workplaces. PR and marketing companies, arts organizations, nonprofits, corporate PR, all sorts of organizations, employers are interested in people who have this area of expertise. And Curt put a list together of some careers that are potentials. This is just a snapshot. It's not comprehensive about what you might be able to do with this degree. I've actually had interest from the Austin Film Festival in interns in our digital storytelling program because they have a digital storytelling program for high school students. So they're coming at digital storytelling from the film perspective. And while this is not a film program, we do video and video storytelling and audio as part of digital storytelling and content creation, and also just visual storytelling. So you get a lot of the skills that are relevant and related to film. Here is what you will learn. You will learn to blend interactivity, story structure, and visual expression. You will really it's not a skills-based major in the sense that you aren't just learning which button to push. We want you to, for instance, in the intro course, we want you to think a lot about what digital content is, what digital storytelling is, and understand sort of how it's evolved. So there are also sort of ethical issues and all sorts of other issues around some forms of digital storytelling and content creation. And we will be talking about that, as well as helping you learn how to make things, how to make stories. So these are the required courses from the bulletin. This is a 30-hour major. It's a relatively compact major. You are taking an intro course, which will be offered in the fall of 23. Because we're launching the major in spring of 23 with 3 courses, which we'll tell you about in a bit. So you'll take the intro course. If you declared it for spring, or you tried 1 or 2 of the courses in spring, then you could take the intro course in the fall. And you can see here these different prefixes that how interdisciplinary this is. We have the Visual Studies 1 class, beginning coder for non-coders. We have a credit bearing certificate in coding for non-coders 1 and 2. This is great for arts and humanities people who tend to get really nervous when people talk to them about coding, but it's something, a little bit of which it's a good thing to understand how to do. We have an audio storytelling class. Matt Largy from KUT, the NPR affiliate here, already teaches podcasting, and he'll be developing and teaching the audio storytelling class. Curt is teaching data storytelling next semester, spring 23, and he'll tell you about that. Digital media production and design. And you can see that these come from different areas, but they're all really directly relevant to learning how to tell stories in the digital space. And then we have an array of suggested courses. These are not required, but if you want to do a little more, we really encourage you to consider some of these classes that can sort of add and fill out even more expertise. This degree is open to all. Everyone is welcome. It was designed very specifically to be transfer friendly. So it is 30 hours, relatively compact. Some of the courses, I think it'll be probably 4 courses will be taught online. Digital media production and design is already taught online once during the year. And we will be looking at identifying the other courses. We wanted to allow for schedule flexibility. We also want you to know that if you're a transfer student or you're contemplating transferring to St. Edward's out of an AAS program at Austin Community College, for instance, you can see in these 3 specializations that we accept your credits as electives toward your 120 hours for a degree here. And we know the cost is an issue for everyone. And that's true generally across the board for anyone considering college and 4-year degrees. So we have a lot of information on our website for transfer students, and this gives you an idea of our average award for transfers, a little over $29,000. We have on the website, on the digital storytelling and content creation page, these transfer advising guides are linked so you can see them in detail, but this gives you an idea about transferable requirements and those taken on campus in residence. You can kind of get an idea of how that would work. And these are our general education requirements. So you would also, be looking at gen ed, and we'd talk to you about that as you considered coming in. And again, these are linked on the web page. For more information about transfer, this whole page on the web page gives you tons of information about transfer. And I know this webinar is being recorded and will be made available in various ways to people who weren't able to attend it, live. So here's we thought we'd give you a preview of the 3 courses we're launching the major with in spring 23. Curt.
Yeah. So this spring, to coincide with the launch of our program, we'll be having our data storytelling course. So we're super excited about this. And what I'll say about this is I think that it directly speaks to the major and the interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary program that it is. So with data storytelling, you are getting a little bit of the science combined with a little bit of art. And that's really how I think of our program as well, which is hugely beneficial to our graduates, right, when they go out to the workplace. So this class is all about how to tell stories with data. Students will be coming out of the class with projects, right, that they can include as part of their portfolio. So in projects, right, we will have final deliverables the students will be producing. We're going to do a few things in this course, one of which is to collaborate with South by Southwest and work on a project that is essentially the data of South by Southwest, which is a great opportunity, a really special event that happens here in Austin in the spring. And then students will also be working with our student-run news outlet, Hilltop Views, around these projects. So really excited for it coming up this next semester.
And you see data interactives all the time. You see, if you're online looking at, news sites or really any kind of site you're interested in, you'll see interactive graphs. You'll see all sorts of, basically the use of data, but made creative and visually compelling. And it helps people interpret information in a way that's a lot more interesting than just throwing a bunch of numbers at them. So it's sort of data plus design. And in developing this course, we've been talking with folks at the Texas Tribune and the 19th, both of which are really stellar nonprofit news outlets here who do great work with data storytelling. And we're letting their professional needs and also their explanation of what they like to see people have when they come to work or for internships help us figure out some of how we want to structure this class and what we want to make sure that you have. Digital media production and design. This course actually is a journalism course, journalism and digital media, but I would say it's a pretty broad class. Both Curt and I teach it. He's been teaching it in the recent last couple of years. I tend to teach the intro to journalism class, but you might hit either one of us depending on the semester. This class is really designed to give students a bit of a spread around digital skills. So you do audio, you do visual, you do a graphic, a data interactive exercise in this class, and it kind of sets the table. Is that fair to say, Curt, for some of these really basic digital skills that we really all need to have?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and again, to go to, what's the step after graduation for, what's the really value for this major? Employers aren't necessarily looking for someone who can just do storytelling in one set medium, right? So having the experience to be able to tell these stories digitally in different formats is really valuable. That's what employers and different industries are looking for.
Yeah, it's like it's having more tools in your toolbox. This is what I tell my students. And so, you might be at the student news outlet covering homecoming or covering an event. And I was trained as a print journalist, so you would write that story. Well, maybe you shoot a video and or maybe you do a video with a voiceover. And so you're writing a script for your voiceover, but you're also thinking about, how am I making an interesting little film about homecoming? And maybe that's a better way to tell the story because it's interactive, it's energetic, it's an alive kind of event. And so what it allows you to do, having these various skills, is think, which tool is best for the kind of story I'm trying to tell? And then Visual Studies 1 is a course in our Visual Studies department. This course fills every year. It's required for Visual Studies folks, also for digital storytelling folks. It's a really good introduction to basic digital camera operation. We tend to think that we are all photographers because we're pointing our phones at things all the time, or we all understand videography because we're shooting, videos all the time on our phones. But in fact, there are, really important ways to do this, and also, to learn about managing the amount of content we have, our files, how to keep track of everything, how to organize everything, image organization. We don't give a lot of thought to that until we're buried in images and we don't really know how to organize them or where to put them. And so all of this is interesting because it helps through the production process when you're working on digital stories where you're using a lot of visual assets. So our students do all kinds of things. As Curt mentioned, they work at the student news outlet. These are 3 students who were editors at the student news outlet, went to Manhattan for a media conference, big student media conference. We try to send students every year. And we have a real robust community here of students involved in all of these kind of media digital areas. And there's lots of opportunities for internships, for conferences, for all sorts of ways that you can use what we teach you out in the world, which is just front of mind for both Curt and me. We really want this to be, we want you to get jobs and integrate grad programs. And we want you to be able to use what we teach you for your own projects and your own priorities. So this is 3 students, all of whom are working as professional journalists. Gianni is on my left, is at Texas Monthly. Kate is an audio producer at The Takeaway, I think, on public radio. And Joey Haddon was the editor-in-chief of Hilltop Views. She was actually a photo major, and she's a reporter for Business Insider. She travels all over the place doing cool stories, now just called Insider. All of these students did journalism and digital media here. They did lots of digital classes. I'm sure they would have been really interested in digital storytelling and content creation had it existed when they were here. And they all had great internships and they all got great jobs. So that's important to us. If you have questions, we are happy to talk with you. My office and Curt's office are right next to each other in Holy Cross Hall. I'm 213. And what are you, 211 or?
Yeah, 211.
211 and 213. So you can come and see us. You can email us and we'll make an appointment. We can talk on Zoom if that's easiest for you and you're out of town. So please feel free to contact us with any questions. And I guess we're happy to answer any if anybody's got any questions.
Well, thank you, Jena and Curt, for a wealth of incredible information. I think this new digital storytelling and content creation major has a ton of different opportunities for current prospective students, especially transfer students, being a 30-hour major. As Jena mentioned, we're happy to help answer questions at this time. If any of you would like to jot down some questions in the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen, please feel free to do so. It does look like we have one question coming in. And I think Jena or Curt, you're welcome to answer. So it looks like the question is, the student mentions that they heard about the South by Southwest opportunities involved with this digital storytelling and content creation major. Can you kind of talk a little bit more about if that's an internship opportunity or at what point in their degree they can kind of take part in that?
Curt, do you want to talk about what you're doing with your class?
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about the plans for our class around South by Southwest and preface that with just saying, I know a lot of our students at the university end up interning with South by Southwest. So that's, South by is definitely an organization we have a great relationship with. And I know students who have done that in the past. For our class, what we're doing is working directly with South by Southwest on those projects. So on the data story projects, it is a real kind of partnership and the opportunity for the students in that course to create something that South by would potentially turn around and then use. Right. So I think that it's a great opportunity to have students come out of the class with something, that looks good on their resume, on their portfolio. So we're really excited about that, relationship with South by Southwest, which is a little bit different than, say, an internship.
Although I have been contacted by South by Southwest recently about student interns. And so what I've been doing is we have a few people who've already declared the digital storytelling major. And we have a bunch of students who've declared it as a minor, I think, trying to figure out how to add it to their degree plan and then deciding whether they're going to change their major. Or I should say, what I should add is that this is a great major for double majoring or major minoring. Because it's 30 hours, it can work as, I have a student who's a comm major and a digital storytelling minor. I have a student who's a digital storytelling major, and she's minoring in, I think, psych. So you can mix and match this with things. And what I'm doing is making students aware that South by Southwest is interested in our students for internships and connecting them since this outreach has started from South by Southwest. And Curt's working on an actual project that's classroom based with South by Southwest. And so part of what's happening here is we're developing these relationships that have where we've already had interest. And as we get the major off the ground, I suspect we'll have even more interest. So great question. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenna. Thank you, Curt. Well, at this time, it doesn't look like we have any other questions, but a quick plug for any of you that are really excited about this program in St. Edward's and would like to apply. We're currently accepting applications for the spring semester. The application deadline is right around the corner, so please feel free to connect with us, and we're happy to help answer questions. We are also currently accepting applications for next fall as well. But thank you again to Associate Dean Jena Heath and Dr. Curt Yowell. We certainly appreciate the time that you've taken to talk more about our digital storytelling and content creation major and its opportunities. Thank you again, and everyone, we look forward to connecting very soon.